Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal. First live show of the day. Yep, two live shows today. The second one will be at the usual time, but the first one right now, and a lot to discuss. That's because there's been a lot to discuss. Now in the morning, we talked about the likes of Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, Martinelli potentially all leaving Arsenal, and one of them it's moved very quickly. Tomiyasu, it's already been announced that Tomiyasu has left Arsenal. They've mutually agreed to cancel his contract, so obviously he's ended his 4-year stay at Arsenal. So we'll be talking about that. Obviously, the latest on the striker situation, Gyökeres and Sesko, Rodrygo, and then a little bit more on Martinelli. Havertz, a lot of you have been saying, why can't we sell Havertz? He's part of the news today as well. And also Noni Madueke. So let's start with Takehiro Tomiyasu and what has happened with him. So this is what Arsenal have had to say. Thank you, Tommy. We have reached a mutual agreement to Takehiro Tomiyasu to end his contract with immediate effect. Now, this news came out of nowhere. It literally came out like after midnight last night. Hand of Arsenal reporting that Takehiro Tomiyasu might leave Arsenal, agreeing to just cancel his contract. That was the only way he was going to leave Arsenal, because we could not sell him with the injuries, and obviously that would have been the only way to let him go if he agreed to leave and cancel his contract, or us would have had to cancel his contract and pay him, but he's actually agreed to leave mutually. So that is I didn't expect that to happen right now, so it has happened. So he has left Arsenal right away, and this is what they've had to say in the website. The 26-year-old defender who joined us from Bologna in August 2021 made 84 appearances in all competitions during his time with the club. Japanese international Tommy immediately settled at right back after his signing and winning our Player of the Month award in September 2021, an accolade he collected again in October of 2023. So can see how good he was. The beginning of his Arsenal career was really good right away. They go on to say that having begun his career at J1 League side Avispa Fukuoka, Tommy moved to Belgian outfit St. Truiden in 2018 and won the club's Player of the Month award before moving to Italy. A senior international since 2018, Tommy has represented Japan 42 times and was part of his country's squad at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics and the 2022 World Cup, as well as helping his nation reach the quarterfinals of the AFC Asian Cup in February 2024. Unfortunately, injuries have limited Tommy's time on the pitch in the past 2 seasons, with the defender making just 1 substitute appearance last season. It was therefore mutually agreed to end Tommy's contract in order for him to start a new chapter in his career. Everyone at Arsenal Football Club would like to thank Tommy for his contribution to the club and wish him and his family all the best for the future. So that is it for Tomiyasu at Arsenal. Out of nowhere, the deal has happened. He's moved on to okay, I don't know which team he's going to be moving on to, but there's talks that he is going to be moving on to he's been linked to a few teams in Saudi Arabia, so that can definitely happen. And yeah, as they've said in the website, we haven't seen him. Like, we literally saw him for, like, was it like 8-9 minutes last season? The whole season we saw him for like 8-9 minutes. So that is quite low. Remember when Tomiyasu joined Arsenal right away, starting for us at right back, he brought in some excitement. He was signed for like only £17 million. So I remember that first season with Tomiyasu at right back, and I think it was Ben White at centre back next to Gabriel. That used to be a difference. But the very next season, after Tomiyasu picked up a few injuries here and there, obviously Saliba came back to Arsenal for that first season where we were competing with Man City, and then Ben White was moved to right back, and then Tomiyasu started playing at left back a few times here and there. But even after that as well, Zinchenko was an Arsenal player as well, and Tomiyasu started losing his place slowly. But he was always a player that you always said, okay, Tomiyasu, when is he coming back? He's going to feature here. You know, he's better defensively than Zinchenko. He's going to play in this position. It never worked out that way, though. And as I said in the morning video, I don't think Arsenal have treated players like Tomiyasu badly. And in terms of actually keeping players who are injured and treating them well, I think Arsenal do it better than anyone else. We kept Cazorla here for a long time with an injury. Same with Jack Wilshere, same with Rosicki. Same with Diaby. Like, we literally kept those players for like 10 years, even after they got injured. And other teams don't do that. Other teams, like, if a player gets injured and they're out for like a season, they try to sell them right away. But for us, we actually never do that. Same with El Neni. We gave him a new contract when he was injured. And the same thing with Tomiyasu. We actually did give him a new contract last year. We paid respects to him, and we still kept him. And most of the fans, I mean, some fans had already given up on him, but not everyone. We were still saying, when is Tomiyasu coming back? Is he going to feature for us? People are still counting him as a part of the squad for next season. But the fact that he's not going to be fit up until like January, that means he's going to miss almost the entirety of next season as well. So he has agreed to cancel his contract. So you're not going to be paying him anything, but you're also not going to get anything because you're not selling him. He's just leaving Arsenal and his contract has been terminated. So that is it for Tomiyasu at Arsenal. Injuries is not his fault, obviously. It's not like he just sits down and decides that he wants to be injured forever. It's not the case. But again, I mentioned it in the earlier video. It seems like we are getting rid of a lot of players, surprisingly, and most of them that have been injured, and a lot of contracts or a lot of wages that we are saving. So Partey, 200k, just like that, he's gone. Tierney, 110k. He's left Arsenal. Jorginho, 110k, he's left Arsenal. Raheem Sterling was on 110k as well at Arsenal, he's left. Now Tomiyasu, 100k per week, he's also left. And there's been talks of players like Zinchenko leaving, who's on 150k. So in terms of that, we're actually saving a lot of wages, and we are letting go of a lot of players who have been injured a lot. Players like Tierney and Tomiyasu, and I mean, even Partey for the past 4 years, like he was injured a lot. But the numbers for Tomiyasu were absolutely crazy. He played 65 Premier League games for us in the 4 years, 84 in total, but he missed 107 games, and he's only 26 years of age. So very unlucky for his career. Hopefully, he does recover and gets to revive his career somehow. But yeah, the injuries have not really been on any side. And I have to say, if Tomiyasu was fit in the 2022-2023 season, he got injured in the same game as Saliba that year. If he was there, we probably win the title that season, because maybe he wouldn't have had to play Zinchenko at left back in some of those tough games away to Liverpool and such teams. So yeah, we definitely felt we definitely missed Tomiyasu, especially those seasons. Though that was before players like Timber came to Arsenal, so Tomiyasu was our best one-on-one defender at that point, but we never really got to see him. So all the best, Tomiyasu. He has left Arsenal. Looks like a lot of people will be leaving Arsenal this transfer window, especially this July. Now, next. I don't know if there's any more updates on Tomiyasu. I mean, yeah, this is what we read from Sami Mokbel. He announced it 2 hours ago. Hand of Arsenal mentioned it last night, but Sami Mokbel said that, yeah, he's leaving Arsenal, mutually agreeing to terminate his contract a couple of hours ago. And also, Fabrizio said Tomiyasu leaves us with immediate effect, as his contract will be terminated on mutual consent. So, yeah, that is done. Now, let's talk about the players who might be joining Arsenal. Let's start with the strikers. So let's start with this. According to Eisen Khan, the target laid out by Mikel Arteta is for a striker to be signed before Arsenal fly out to Singapore on July 19 for their pre-season tour of Asia. I understand that a striker will definitely be signed in this window. I would envisage a deal having either been made or very close to finalizing in the week commencing July 14. So hopefully that is the case. Hopefully, Arteta wants us to sign a striker before then. I think that has to be the case. We have to get one of those guys in a national shirt before preseason starts. No messing around at all. Preseason training starts next week, so I would have loved them to be there already, even by now. But hopefully they're there before preseason starts. We've already made our decision on which one you're going to get. Hopefully that is the case. So if you're trying to get it done by July 19th, that means everything, That means we'd have already agreed the fee with either Sporting or Leipzig, and the player had already come to England for medical and done all that, and ready to play. So that is what we need to happen. We need the player there ready, adapt to the Arsenal atmosphere, adapt to playing with Odegaard, with Saka, with all these guys. That is what we need. We need to be ready from the very first game next season. No messing around. That just has to be the case. So again, 2 live shows today. This is the first one. There's a lot to talk about, so I had to divide it into 2. So that is what Eisen Khan has had to say about Arteta's plans for the striker. But which striker are we going to get now? According to reports on Sesko from Sami Mokbel, sources have indicated there is still no agreement between Benjamin Sesko and Arsenal, let alone the two clubs, with suggestions that striking a deal for the player has proved significantly harder than expected. Sesko's agent, Elvis Basanovic, is understood to have developed a strong relationship with former sporting directors Edu and Jason Aito, but with Andrea Bata leading the negotiations, those nurtured relationships are no longer relevant. There have been indications in recent days that Arsenal focused attention on other targets. So that is very interesting. Yes, we had already talked to Sesko for a long time, since last year, but it was not Andrea Bata talking to them. It was Edu and Jason Aito. So whatever had already gone down with those discussions, it kind of doesn't matter right now, because we have a new sporting director. Whether the new sporting director does not agree with what Edu said, or the agent to Sesko does not agree with what Andrea Bata has to say, and he agreed with Edu, all that matters. And also depends, does Andrea Bata really want Sesko at Arsenal? Does he have other connections that he feels he needs to get at Arsenal instead? So all that becomes very complicated. So it's now looking very, very complicated. It's now looking like, it's not that straightforward. As I was saying, I'm expecting Sesko to join Arsenal 70%, Gyökeres 30%. It's now not looking that way, because we've actually changed directors, we've changed a few board members actually. So even Jason Aito has left Arsenal already too. He's not even part of the board anymore. Both of the directors that we had who spoke to Sesko from last year April up to this year March or something, both of them have left Arsenal. So there's no one who really has a connection with the agent to Sesko. Now, that is not the only thing. They've also said, or Sami Mokbel has also said, there's still no agreement between Benjamin Sesko and Arsenal, let alone the two clubs. So Sesko has not yet said that he 100% wants to join Arsenal. So there's that as well. I'm starting to feel like there's a big chance Sesko doesn't join us. So it might be Gyökeres. Hopefully, it's still one of them. Hopefully, don't end up with the plan C or plan D. But it's now not looking that easy for Sesko to join us. And then when you start hearing things about, Sesko wanting a release clause, does that mean he doesn't really want to be at Arsenal for too long? He just wants to be here for like 1 year, 2 years, and then move on to a Barcelona, to a Real Madrid? I don't think Arsenal would really want that at all. And the fact that we've been told that Arsenal want to pay Sesko's transfer fee in installments, and that would mean we'll need to pay like close to 90 million, because the way we added the money for Zubimendi to be able to pay in installments, if you're going to pay Sesko's fee in installments, we are going to go up to like 90 million. Yeah, I don't think Arsenal is going to pay 90 million for Sesko. So I think that would be the case. So would not be the case. So I think we'd have to move on to a different target, and the different target is Gyökeres. So what we have here is Sesko, who is not sure about joining Arsenal. So what is all this about Sesko following Arsenal on Instagram? Why did he do that then? I don't understand. Like he has to know something, because he can't just do that randomly when the transfers are heating up like that. But anyway, Gyökeres wants to join Arsenal. Sesko hasn't really said that he wants to join Arsenal, and as of now, it's looking like Sesko would be more expensive than Gyökeres. So all that, Sesko is young and all that, at the moment, it doesn't matter, especially if Arsenal want to pay less money for one of them. It looks like it's going to be Gyökeres who's going to be less money. Now, it's going to be still very hard to negotiate with Sporting, but at least if you have one area to focus on, you can continue focusing on that than focusing on, 2-3 strikers at the same time and waiting for one of them to, one of the prices to drop. I think for Gyökeres, it's now looking quite possible. I'm still going to put it at 50-50 in terms of who you're going to get, but let's see. A lot of people wanted Gyökeres. It's now a huge possibility, because with the Sesko deal, it's complicated. There has been indications in recent days that Arsenal have focused attention on other targets. So that is according to Sami Mokbel. So other targets. Who are the other targets? Obviously, it's Gyökeres. This is what Sami Mokbel had to say about that. Arsenal understood to have made headway with the potential move for Viktor Gyökeres in recent days. The player is understood to be very keen to join Arsenal. You've already seen the difference right there. There's no agreement with Sesko and Arsenal, but Gyökeres is very keen on joining Arsenal. So yeah, I think Gyökeres wants to join Arsenal, but Arsenal are not really sure about him, and Arsenal are very sure about Sesko, but Sesko is not really sure about joining Arsenal. So yeah, significantly, the signing of Gyökeres is understood to have to have Andrea Batty's backing. Gyökeres was not a strong target before Arsenal prior to Batty's arrival, but he believes he could make an instant impact, as we've gone through with the Sesko one. Jason Ito and Edu had already spoken to Sesko for almost 1 year, but they're no longer here. Should Arsenal sign Benjamin Sesko Gyökeres, it is likely to cost them in excess of 70 million. Only Watkins would be a cheaper option, but only Watkins being our plan C, even that one is not guaranteed. If you don't get both Gyökeres and Sesko, if you don't get one of them, Watkins could easily have already gone to like a Man United or something by then. So yeah, it is understood that Watkins and Gyökeres are the two players Arsenal have explored moves for in recent days. So basically, the Sesko one has gone quiet. We are now looking at Gyökeres and Watkins. Hopefully, we do end up getting Gyökeres between those two. I'd be very, very happy. I still saw someone commenting today morning saying, why are you Arsenal fans obsessed with the Gyökeres? These goals he's scoring in Portugal don't matter. And I was still like, okay, fine. But as I've always said, it does not matter which country is playing in. I'm going to keep on saying that. Whether it's playing in Indonesia, whether it's playing in Chile, whether it's playing in Canada, whether it's playing in Angola, whether it's playing in Nigeria, whether it's playing in Kenya, whether it's playing in South Africa, whether it's playing in Japan, whether it's playing in New Zealand, it does not matter. If you can score almost 100 goals in 2 years, 2 seasons, plus you get 30 plus assists in the same time, you're a very good player. Because if it was as easy as saying that, he's playing in Portugal, anyone can score 100 goals in 2 seasons in Portugal, and that is not the truth. He would not have been the top scorer. Then you'd have had like 20 players last season with 50 plus goals and another 50 plus goals before that. And that is not just the only reason that I want Gyökeres anyway. Gyökeres was playing for Coventry before, and in 2.5 seasons he got 60 plus goal contributions. So he's done it in England before as well. And I usually try to look at a player who's done it for several seasons, not just one season. So for me, the goalposts are the same width, the same length all over the world. So just get Gyökeres. For me, just get Gyökeres. The chances of it not working for me are very, very minimal. You cannot tell me that Gyökeres is going to come to Arsenal and score only 5 goals in the season. All those chances that we create in the team, there's so many chances to create every single game, and we end up missing them. Even if one of those chances land to him, is he going to score all of them? No. And again, I'm not asking for 100 goals for 2 seasons. I'm asking for half of that. That is what I want. Half of that will be very enough for Arsenal to win the Premier League title. That is all we want. So for me, get me Gyökeres. I've always wanted him since last year when we were debating between Gyökeres and Isak. My choice was Gyökeres, and that is the player that I want. So let's get him. I don't agree with that. He's only scoring these goals because he's in Portugal. No, I don't agree with that. He scores those goals in the Champions League as well against teams like Man City. He scores for Sweden as well against different international teams. So it's not just a case of just scoring in Portugal. I don't agree. So for me, get me Gyökeres 100%. Next up, let's talk about Rodrygo. So the Athletic yesterday reported that Arsenal have held preliminary talks with Rodrygo's camp in recent weeks, and Real Madrid are open to allowing him to leave the club this summer. Obviously, didn't feature for Real Madrid in the last 16 the other day against who was it again? But they're going to play Dortmund next up. I don't think he's going to play in that game as well. They are playing Juventus. That's who they are playing. But he did not feature at all. They are bringing in different players. Even Mbappe coming back from an injury, he came in, and Rodrygo's left on the bench still. And then there's this. Mario says Real Madrid and Xabi Alonso are open to Rodrygo leaving this summer. They have agreed the club will not stand in the player's way if a suitable offer is made. Arsenal had preliminary talks with Rodrygo's camp. Now, as of now, that's crazy. As of now, it's looking like Arsenal could actually end up getting Rodrygo, and it's actually looking like we could end up getting Gyökeres instead of Sesko. And it's looking like Eze really wants to join Arsenal. That would be a 10 out of 10 transfer window. If you can get those 3 players, that would be 100% a 10 out of 10 transfer window. I don't think we've had anything like that every single year. And you don't even sign those big players every single year. But when was the last time Arsenal signed more than one player that is very, very exciting? We signed Arshavin in 2009. That was it, really. We signed someone like a Cazorla in 2012. Podolski was exciting, I guess, but maybe that was the last like really exciting transfer window. But if you consider we lost someone like Van Persie that year as well, maybe it wasn't that exciting. We signed Aubameyang 1 year, we signed Ozil another year, we signed Alexis Sanchez another year. It's never like the same year. So if you're able to pull Eze for that kind of money and we're able to pay it in installments, and if you're able to get Gyökeres after all the drama with Sporting and a player who's people are expecting him to join Man United because his former manager is there and all that, and then you are able to also get Rodrygo, a player from Real Madrid. I'm sure buying one team, I'm sure you'd hear Man City one team as well. That would be absolutely exciting. So Real Madrid and Xabi Alonso, as they say, they are willing to part ways with him, and I'd not be surprised. Personally, I think he should be leaving, even if he's not joining Arsenal. If I was a Rodrygo representative, I'll be telling him, yeah, you definitely need to leave because the World Cup is coming up next year, and your position is not that guaranteed. So these players like Rafinha playing in the same position, if you want to feature, you'll have to move on to a different club and play a few minutes. Not a few minutes. You have to play, regular football and not just a few minutes at Real Madrid. At the moment, he's been playing a few minutes at Real Madrid, and not even that. Sometimes he doesn't even play. I think like out of the 4 games so far, the Club World Cup, like he's been on the bench 90 minutes. In like 2 of them, so that is that's not great for him. If he wants to feature regularly, he has to move on to a different team. Now, again, it's going to cost you a lot of money to sign Rodrygo, but that is what you'll need to pay if you want to improve your forward positions. There's been stats coming out recently that we've signed more goalkeepers than forward players, and we've neglected the forward positions and all that. And yeah, you kind of have to agree because we've only really signed Jesus as a striker over the last 3 years. That is not great. When you look at Liverpool and Man City always improving their forward line every single year, we've not really done that. That's why right now, when Saka is not there, we don't have a single good forward player, and that is a problem when you're trying to compete with those teams. You saw a team like PSG. They had like 7-8 players who could score goals, and for us, we were really just depending on what Saka would do in that game. So that's a problem. So in the article, he said Real Madrid and their new coach Alonso are open to Brazil forward Rodrygo leaving the club this summer. The 24-year-old made his first appearance for Madrid in 53 days in their opening Club World Cup game against Al Hilal, and even in that game, he was subbed off. He never plays 90 minutes. Last season in La Liga, I think he played 90 minutes around like 5 times. That is very little. That is very little for a player who wants to, be a starter for Brazil, for his country and all that. Rodrygo did not feature for Madrid towards the end of last season under Carlo Ancelotti, and there were concerns at the club about the player sometimes lacking motivation in training. As reported by The Athletic last month, the player's entourage have always denied this, but it was those concerns which led to Ancelotti and Rodrygo agreeing the winger would not be called up for the Italians' first squad as Brazil manager for the games against Ecuador and Paraguay last month. So his former manager at Real Madrid is also now his current manager in Brazil. So he has to show a lot before Ancelotti picks him because, Martinelli was actually picked before Rodrygo in the last Brazil squad. The player's father and agent has complained about Rodrygo's situation at Madrid, with the player sidelined at times because of the high-profile trio of Mbappe, Vinicius, and Jude Bellingham. Now there's Ada Gula there, there's Gonzalo there, and many other players who can play in those positions. Those complaints have not gone down well at various levels of the club. This, along with the players' poor performances, has led Madrid to open the door to a potential sale pending the decision of their new coach. Now, I watched Real Madrid more than other La Liga teams, but out of the 60 Real Madrid games last season, let's say I watched like 20 of them. So no, I missed 40 of them. So them saying that Rodrygo's had many poor performances, I cannot tell you if that is the truth or not. I don't watch Madrid every single week, so Alonso took charge at Madrid ahead of the Club World Cup, and at that point, Rodrygo's future appeared undecided. But now, sources at the club speaking anonymously to protect relationships, have told The Athletic that Madrid and the coach agreed the club will not stand in the player's way. And then they go on to say Arsenal are one of the clubs monitoring Rodrygo, and the clubs have held preliminary talks to the players' representatives in recent weeks as they weigh a move. Arsenal interest in Rodrygo and other left-sided attackers such as Anthony Gordon and Nico Williams. Nico Williams is still Gabriel mentioned, Nico Williams, by the way, has just signed a 10-year contract at Bilbao. Yes, 10 years. I don't know. I think he's obsessed with Bilbao. He just wants to stay there. But there's a release clause there. Maybe Barcelona will pay it. I don't know. But yeah, Nico Williams has signed a 10-year contract with Bilbao today. 10 years. So yeah, that is not a player who wanted to leave there. So Rodrygo is the option that we are looking at. And it's going to cost money. You're going to have to pay 70 million plus. And in terms of wages, you're going to have to pay him a lot of wages. Now, that is where it might become important with the players that we are letting go. Letting go of Sterling and that 110k, that money you can give to Saka and get him around 300,000 per week. To keep Saliba, we are going to have to give him more money. You can use that TNE money to add Saliba's contract or to add to his wages, and then Partey, the 200k, we know around 50k is going to Nørgaard. We'll have a balance of 150k. That can also maybe pay for Mosquera or someone. And then, yeah, if we've let go of Tomiyasu, another 100k being saved there. Martinelli is currently on 180k. He might also end up leaving Arsenal. So there's a lot there that can be saved and used elsewhere. So let's see if we can get players like Rodrygo and Eze and use those wages to get them to Arsenal, because we need these big players. If we go into the season with Rodrygo and Eze and Gyökeres, even you'd hear the tone changing from the other teams, because they'll be like, wow, they've added these guys and they still have players like Saka there. Like, it would be very, very exciting. Arsenal have genuine interest in Rodrygo with the belief he could be a game-changing addition to the team, but whether such a transfer is realistic this summer remains to be seen. This is according to Sami Mokbel. It has been suggested to BBC Sport by a well-placed source that Real Madrid would listen to offers. If Rodrygo is available, he would cost at least 70 million, which after spending on a striker may be too much. Now, maybe that is why Arsenal are considering. And that's not the truth. Arsenal is not considering selling Martinelli. Arsenal say they don't sell Martinelli. Martinelli does not want to go. But if a lot of money comes in, then they might consider it. So, Rodrygo would expect to become one of the highest paid players at the club. You see the kind of demands you have when you're signing players from teams like this. You're going to have to pay money for them. It is also understood there are some reservations about whether the player could adapt to the physicality of English football. So looks like people are not sure whether he's going to adapt to English football. Rodrygo, maybe that is why we're being linked to players like Anthony Gordon, but let's wait and see what happens with Rodrygo. Now, speaking of Gabriel Martinelli, what's the latest on him? So actually, Kai Havertz and Martinelli in the same update. Some people, I've seen a lot of people, actually, not everyone, but a lot of people saying, why sell Martinelli, just sell Havertz instead. Different position and all that, but hey, everyone has their opinion. BBC Sport understands Arsenal will look to sell one of their more established first-team players inside the next 12 months. Gabriel Martinelli has been extensively linked to the move away this summer, and it is understood that it isn't something the club are rolling out. There are understood to be several clubs in Germany keeping an eye on Kai Havertz's situation heading into next summer, when he will have 2 years left on his contract. So Havertz will not be sold this transfer window, but as Sami Mokbel says here, there understood to be several clubs in Germany keeping an eye on Havertz's situation heading into next summer. So he said that in the next 12 months, one of the big players up front is going to leave. So that is not going to be Saka. I don't think that is going to be Odegaard. Do they count Trossard as part of that? If they do, it's between really 2 or 3 players. Havertz, Martinelli, and Trossard. There's no one else. Jesus is not going to leave for big money. We might actually end up in the same situation with Tomiyasu. Jesus having to, cancel his contract and letting him go for free unless he recovers throughout the season, and then we sell him like in January at the end of the season. But at the moment, we are definitely waiting to see whether we're going to get enough money for Martinelli. Someone did say something accurate yesterday. We value Martinelli at 70 million, and Saudi Arabia clubs might want to pay us the 70 million. But maybe it shouldn't be that way. Maybe you should be asking for like 80, 85 million, because usually when players are, like 40 million, 50 million, when the Saudi Arabia club comes in, they say they want 70 million. So maybe at this point, if Arsenal think Martinelli 70 million, they should be asking for 80, 85 for Martinelli. Get as much money as you can from them, because teams like Chelsea have really been, enjoying themselves, the Saudi Arabian money. So why can't Arsenal do it as well? But if it's not Martinelli, maybe next one it could be Kai Havertz. Now, I still don't think Havertz will be sold, be it because Arteta likes him. That is the thing. And number two as well, money. Money. How much are Arsenal going to sell Kai Havertz today? Unless we get the same 65 million that you're going to get, which I don't think you're going to get this transfer window. Next season, maybe that goes a little bit down depending on how, if Havertz has a good season next year, then it's going to be more than 65 million that Arsenal is going to be asking for. If he has a bad season next year and he drops out of the team and he doesn't play regularly and all that, and maybe doesn't even start for Germany at the World Cup, maybe he doesn't. He goes for lower than that if he's sold next year. But if Havertz has a good season and he goes and he starts for Germany at the World Cup, and somehow maybe Germany reaches the final and stuff, and Havertz scores crucial goals and all that, yeah, Arsenal are going to be asking for like 80 million. So how many teams are going to come and pay 80 million for Havertz? We also have to wait and see with that. So yeah, but one of those players are going to leave. So the way players have been leaving recently, Partey has gone, Tierney, Jorginho, Tomiyasu. There's a big chance Trossard, Martinelli, one of them will not be here next season. Zinchenko might leave. I think by the time we get to next year, there's a chance both Martinelli and Trossard are not going to be here. And there's a chance Jesus will also not be here. And maybe even Havertz, who knows? Maybe you're actually going to change everything completely by next year. So let's see, though, because in terms of the forward line, you haven't really been exciting at all over the last 1.5 years. So maybe we actually need to change in every single position. So 85 million euros is what Ben Jacobs mentioned yesterday. Al Nassr are willing to pay 85 million euros for Martinelli. That would be a lot of money, but maybe you need to demand for even more. That should be the case. So that's the latest on Martinelli and Kai Havertz in the situation. Now, Ben Jacobs also had to say, I have no information at this stage whether Gabriel Martinelli wants to go to Saudi Arabia. That's the other thing. If he doesn't want to go, there's nothing much you can do. You cannot push him out. Even if you get 100 million and he doesn't want to go, you actually can't do anything. Now, Madueke. Yeah, let's talk about Madueke, the last player we can talk about in this show. Understand Arsenal had new round of talks for Noni Madueke as the player could be open to the move, says Fabrizio Romano. Nothing advanced yet in terms of club-to-club approach or direct negotiations, but Arsenal maintain contract separate from Eberechi as a deal. So at the moment, it's looking like everything's separate from that. Looks like we are still going to get Eze. Looks like obviously we still want to get a striker and we still want to get Rodrygo, but Madueke is also linked in the side. So let me know. If we get Eze, Rodrygo, and Gyökeres, and then you add Madueke, does that change your opinion? Or you don't care at all, even if you had Messi and Gyökeres and Sesko, you just don't want Madueke at Arsenal? Or if he's like the fourth, fifth signing after all of those guys, you don't mind him as a backup player? How are you looking at it now? The problem for me is if he's costing 45 million, I'm not going to pay 45 million for Madueke. So I would not do that at all. But yeah, that's the latest news. There's still a lot to talk about. This same show at the same time. We're going to be doing it in the next 3 hours. In that one, we're going to talk more about Eze, about Zubimendi. I think he could be announced by then. Mosquera. Arteta has a new assistant manager as well. We're going to be talking about that. So let's see. Always love Tommy, says Cookie. Yeah, he's a good defender, a great guy for sure, like El Neni as well. Unfortunately, the injuries, but yeah, he can't do anything with that. I actually thought he was going to be here until January, but yeah, if he's agreed to move on, it's a difficult situation. I don't think he just wants to sit down and not play. And I feel like we'd have won one of those Premier League titles if he was there and not injured. Good afternoon to you, Anu. So this particular stream was supposed to happen yesterday. So there was comments like this at the beginning. So yes, rest in peace to Jota. Yesterday was a tough day. Let's see. How are you, Emmanuel? Goodbye, Tommy, says Prince. How are you doing? I'm doing good. RK, thank you for watching. Tomiyasu had to leave. He has been injury prone for almost 3 years now. Advantage is the wages we are saving. Yeah, that is the key thing. wages. Partey 200k, Jorginho, Tierney, Sterling between the 330k. Tomiyasu 100k. That's a lot of money. That's almost close to $1 million that you're going to be saving. So that is interesting. What about Rodrygo? Please update. Says Jeremiah. We've talked about him. Arsenal can make Rodrygo a star rather than just just another player at Madrid. Mosquera says, Glenn, this is what I've heard before in the news that Martinelli is going to be sold by Saudi club for 85 million euros. It depends, though. Does he want to go? Does Arsenal want more? It all depends. But the way it's been going and the players we've been linked to, it's now looking very, very possible. But by next year, Martinelli, Trossard, Jesus, all these guys are not going to be here. If you can find buyers for Trossard and Martinelli, do you feel they might have to have the money for a crazy Zach bid? Nah, we'll be wasting our time, John. Right now, we're already heading into the middle of July. It would be a waste of time. They don't want to sell him. If they wanted to sell him, then that would have been okay. But if right now they don't want to sell him, let's just get the players who want to join Arsenal. A player like Gyokeres, that is what we should be doing. And Isaac would cost 150 million. So, no, even if you had the money for that, I'd rather get, that money can get you both Gyökeres and Rodrygo. That is what I would do. If Arsenal board gives Rodrygo number 11, Gyökeres and Bukayo Saka, as it's fantastic, gorgeous for sure. Golden, that would be fantastic. Better Tomiyasu leave. He's a good player, but prone to injury. Played one game, rest 1 year. Not even one game, literally. Played like 6 minutes. So it's very unfortunate. It's actually very sad. He's played 84 games for Arsenal and he's missed 107. That's a lot, man. 107 games missed. If he was there 22-23, he would have won the league. He would have been the one playing instead of Zinchenko in those tough games at the end of the season. We'd have won the league that year. Raz says, how are we going to feel when Rodrygo, Eze, and Sesko has become Arsenal players? I mean, over the moon, man. We've been asking for a striker for a long time, and having Eze something different in midfield, someone who can transition, someone who has some skill, someone who can create different positions as well. Premier League experience, that would be great. And Rodrygo, when was the last time you signed a player like Rodrygo of that kind of level? You have to go back to Ozil and Alexis Sanchez, long time. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. You separated it. How are we going to feel when Rodrygo, Eze, and Sesko become Madueke and Watkins? Definitely not over the moon. That would be very disappointing. Let's see. Saudi wants Martinelli, but he don't want to leave Arsenal to Saudi. Yeah, it also depends. Depends on how much they're going to offer him, though. If they offer him something crazy, like currently Martinelli is on 180k. If they offer him like 300, 400, you never know. These people leaving, that means no more squad depth. I mean, for Tomiyasu, though, there's players like Tomiyasu, you cannot really count as squad depth. He was not going to be here until like January anyway. The squad depth that I'm looking at is players like Kivio. You cannot let go of Kivio. Players like Calafio and Lewis Kelly both have to stay at left back. A player like Ben White, very good backup. You cannot let him go. I think defensively we'll be okay with Mosquera. And I'm hearing if Zinchenko leaves, we might actually get another fullback. So we could actually end up with 8 signings. That would be crazy. Midfield-wise with Rice and Merino. Merino is a backup. He has to stay. Zubimendi, Nørgaard, that is 2 players. And then players like Noni have to stay. And then there's players like, who am I forgetting? Trossard is what I'm looking. Trossard and Martinelli, I wanted them to stay because as backups, but it depends. If you get like 80 million for Martinelli, you can maybe get actually 2 players with that kind of money. So yeah, you also can't keep everyone. I think we also a bit crazy as Arsenal fans, because I would come on here and tell you guys Arsenal never sold anyone for more than 30 million, and then when Arsenal is close to selling someone for 80 million, I'm like, no, don't sell him. We are never going to sell anyone for more than 30 million if you reject everything that is offered. So, yeah, there's a lot of players still at Arsenal, but we do have to do some shopping as well. If you're letting go of all of these players, the parties and all these players, we have to do some shopping for players as well. I want Mandela to stay because he's good at defending and helping the fullback. Did you think Rodrygo is an upgrade on Martinelli? Right now, yes, to be honest, gentle. Sesko coming says, look at me. It doesn't look like he's actually going to come to Arsenal. So we are going to be back for a live show at the same time. As usual, in the next 3 hours, we'll talk about all the other things. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.